Hi everyone, my name is Terry Westwell and today's Tuesday, which means it's time to discuss our book of the week, which is The Crash by Freida McFadden. First, this is a spoiler-free section, so if you haven't read this book yet, don't worry about it. It won't be spoiled for you here. There will be some spoiler-related things that I want to discuss, but that'll be later on in the video, and you will get plenty of warning. If you'd like to join in on any of the book discussions, send me your thoughts, comments, or even a short video clip of you discussing the book, then I'll list the next upcoming 4 books in the description below. So by now, I've read a few of Freida McFadden's books, and they can kind of be hit and miss. I've absolutely loved some, while others not so much. But this one was probably one of my favourites, which is a little bit surprising because when I first started reading this book and I realised that it was centred around a pregnant woman, I was a little hesitant. Any kind of pregnancy trope, whether or not it's romance, fantasy, or in this case a psychological thriller, is not one that I would usually enjoy so much. A big reason for that is because I really like to connect to the characters, and it's simply not something that I can relate to. Also, sometimes I feel like it's just not necessary, and you know what, it's just not a trope that I tend to enjoy. So considering the main character's not only pregnant, but the pregnancy itself is quite a prominent topic within the book itself, I was quite surprised with just how much I enjoyed it. I rated this book 4 stars, it was gripping from the very start, and overall I just really enjoyed it. Okay, so a quick summary. Tegan is 8 months pregnant, alone, and desperately wants to put her crumbling life in the rearview mirror. So she hits the road, deciding to stay with her brother until she can figure out her next move, but she doesn't realise that she's driving straight into a blizzard. Stranded in rural Maine with a dead car and a broken ankle, Tegan worries she's made a terrible mistake. But then a miracle happens. She's rescued by a couple who offers her a room in their warm cabin until the snow clears. But something isn't right. Tegan believed that she was waiting out the storm, but as time ticks by, she realises that she's in grave danger. This safe haven wasn't what she thought it was, and staying here may have been her deadliest mistake yet. And now she must do whatever it takes to save herself and her unborn child. If I had to compare this to any other book, I would probably say something like Holly by Stephen King, although I'd say that this was a lot simpler and easier to read, and maybe something like The Silent Patient. Freida McFadden's writing is so easy to read, but it doesn't compromise on telling an interesting story with great twists and good, strong female main characters. I think that the chapter lengths were good, however one issue I had with the book was that while it does grip you pretty immediately and there's a lot going on right from the very start, I would say that the pace does slow down somewhat significantly towards the middle. I was still enjoying it, but after a while I was getting that feeling that I just wanted them to move along and start reaching towards a conclusion. I think it was getting close to feeling a bit repetitive at times, and I stopped feeling so much suspension, which to be fair is probably a good representation of how that main character felt at times. It wasn't exactly a book where there was this huge sense of danger or panic, it was a much slower building than that. So while at times I did want the book to sort of speed up a little bit, I do also feel like the pacing did make sense to that narrative, if that makes any sense at all. This book was really nice and easy to read, but what I've noticed about Freida's writing is that she sort of doesn't do too much world building or description. She kind of gives you the bones and then lets the reader imagine and fill in the blank for themselves, which I think can kind of go either way. I think people either really like that or they don't. I think it helps to focus on the characters and events without making it feel like it's too complex. But I also know that some people do like a lot of information and like to have the scene set out for them. So depending on what kind of reader you are, you might either really love her writing or you really won't. Shelley said that it was an absolute blast. She knew from the moment that she saw the title that it would have to be something she reads. This book kept her hooked from start to finish with twists she had no idea were coming. The author cleverly sprinkles hints throughout the story, giving us a chance to imagine the plot unfolding, but she never saw that ending coming. It was an easy read and Shelley would highly recommend. So as for the question, would I recommend the book? Absolutely, I think that this was another great one by Freida McFadden. I think she had such a great way of telling a story through characters that you can really connect with, while building that tension and still being such an easy read. And will I be reading any more by Freida McFadden? Absolutely. As I said, I've read a few of Freida McFadden's books now, and while I've definitely liked some more than others, I like how non-complicated her books are and still being able to surprise me with a good twist. So earlier on in the video, I said that you would get plenty of warning for any upcoming spoilers. This is that moment, so if you haven't read this book yet, I would suggest going doing that first, because beyond this point, there'll definitely be spoilers. One thing that I really liked about this book was the setting. I love it when psychological books and films are mostly set in one location or even just one room. Like, especially when they're confined, because if you're someone like me who is such a visual reader and can picture everything that they're reading, I think it really affects your perception of events. Like, being able to picture what it was like for that main character and just how messed up it was. As I said, I did kind of want the book to speed up a little bit, but I can't help but feel like that was a deliberate choice, as the main character's worries that she might not be going anywhere builds. Ordinarily, I really don't like any sort of misunderstanding trope, but I guess that mostly works for romance. I think in this case, it worked really well. Polly witnessed a couple of things, like the whiskey in Tegan's bag, the fact that she wanted to eat tuna or deli meat and she wanted pain medication, and, you know, she was young and she didn't have a wedding band, and she just chalked that all down to Tegan not only being an irresponsible mom, but also probably not even wanting to have the child anyway. I guess the question is that if those misunderstandings were cleared in the beginning, if Tegan didn't have her brother's whiskey in her handbag, would Polly still have done what she did? I think so, yes. I think she would have still looked for reasons because she was unable to cope with her own issues. Even though I was pretty sympathetic with Tegan and everything that she went through, I was still pretty happy with that ending. Like, it was all pretty messed up, but is it wrong to see that as quite a good, happy ending? Like, I guess it still kind of sucks for Tegan. Like, her brother went to prison, and I guess her assaulter did see some form of justice, although the people who kept her captive for days did not, but that was also her own decision. But Polly does seek out help, and now a young girl does have a home that she can be happy and thrive in. Speaking of which, that was not an ending that I was expecting. I understand why Tegan was a bit scared of Hank and came to her own conclusions, but he was actually really sweet, and I did not expect him to kill a guy. Like, when they were talking about it at the end, and the young girl pretty much hints that, yes, she clearly remembers that he unalived her dad, but Hank is now her dad, that was really messed up, but it was also kind of a happy ending. Overall, I really enjoyed it. There were some hints here and there, but I did not see the big twists coming. The fact that her brother was involved, I think it was really well done and it was a great read. Let me know what you thought. Did you enjoy the book? Next week, we're discussing Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. So don't forget to get your thoughts and comments in by Sunday the 1st of June at the latest to be a part of the discussion. You can now do this on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram or Discord. The following week will be Immortal by Lynn, but don't forget, if you do need a little bit longer to read a book, we do now list the next 4 books down below along with the discussion dates. That way you can choose a genre that best suits you and the best time frame to read it in. Thank you all for joining, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It's always appreciated, and I will see you next week. Bye! If you like romance, fantasy, or even thriller, basically anything fiction book related, then I suggest you head on over to the channel's intro video, where you can find out more information on how you can take part in this online book club. We announce books at least 4 weeks in advance, and we accept your bookish feedback in a wide manner of ways. Push or comment below a video, send in a voice note, or even send me a short video clip of you discussing the book. Alternatively, you can just send me a direct message.